Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to this latest episode of Fresh Review Friday. So sit back, relax, grab your cigar, maybe a drink, and enjoy. Hey guys, what's up? It is week 3 of Cuevas Month, and what a month it has been. It has been so much fun re-exploring the Casa Cuevas line, and I'm only 3 cigars in, so there's 3 cigars left after this. So this week I decided to cap off one of the 3 cigars that's not in the core lineup, but of the newer cigars of the last year and a half. Did the Reserva Maduro, I did the La Mandaria last week, and this week I'm going to be finishing up with the Reserva line, and I'm going to be smoking the Casa Cuevas Reserva Natural. So, without any further ado, cue music. Hey guys, what's up? You are watching Dad Smoking Cigars, sponsored by Casa Cuevas Cigars, from our casa to yours. Thank you so much for joining me for another edition of Fresh Review Friday. And as I said before, it is Cuevas Month, and that means I am reviewing all the cigars in the Casa Cuevas line. 6 cigars in total. I've reviewed 2 so far, and I am now reviewing cigar number 3, the Casa Cuevas Reserva Natural. This has been reviewed on the channel before. A while back, Tim and I did review this cigar, and but now it is just me doing the review, doing my own in-depth review, kind of going back into it. It's been a while since I've smoked it, so I'm looking forward to getting back into this cigar. This is actually, of the Cuevas line, this is the cigar I have smoked the least amount of times. It just occurred to me, I think I've only had the Reserva Natural, maybe. I think I can count the number of times I've smoked it on 1, maybe 2 hands. It is the one that I haven't had as much as the others. All of the others I've had with a pretty good regularity and frequency, but the Reserva Natural I haven't had a whole lot of times. Odd, but here I am having it yet again, and I'm excited. I'm glad I get to have it again. So I'm going to go ahead and get into it. As usual, I don't know why I do this to myself, and I don't know why I do this ridiculous repetitiveness, and yeah, alliteration abounds with you guys, but I always forget to have my facts in front of me of what the makeup of the cigar is. I'm just being transparent. I probably didn't have to say anything, but I'm saying it. Yeah, I forgot to have my info right here in front of me so I could tell you guys what the makeup of the cigar is, but I will do that in the next segment. As of right now, I'm just going to go ahead, cut and light, and get moving and give you my thoughts on the flavors and notes that I'm going to be getting as I get started. So this is a Torpedo Vitola, which I actually enjoy torpedoes. Torpedoes, Toros, and Robustos, I think, are my 3 favorite Vitolas. Don't know why I mentioned that, but interesting fact, or not interesting, depending on how you look at it. Really creamy, rich cream. That is what I'm tasting initially. A lot of times I say I get like kind of a dried fruit, which that is kind of like a little bit, not too much with this. It's just very creamy, very sweet right off the bat. And yeah, just from the cold draw. Got a little more dried fruit there, but still very creamy. A little bit of cedar, slight hint of like maybe nutmeg, I think I'm tasting just through the cold draw itself. So here we go, I'm going to toast it up. Very, very toasty. Getting that really coming through very strongly cedar notes right off of right from the very beginning. I'm trying not to say the same thing, so I'm catching myself. But from the first draws, first puffs, very strong woody cedar-like notes. Again, still kind of getting that like bit of nutmeg, baking spice. Very rich and creamy, and just extremely tasty as soon as I take the first draws. excellent flavor. Retrohale opens it up nice. Ooh, really nice. And I'm getting more of that cream. Very, very creamy. Um, and it's been so long since I've had this cigar that I'm kind of trying to think about what it was like when I first smoked it, or just one of the last times that I smoked it. And maybe I wasn't paying close enough attention to the flavor notes, because I almost feel like I'm kind of smoking this for the first time, just because I'm catching things that maybe I wasn't paying attention to the last time around. So I'm going to take a couple more puffs. Smooth. Nice and toasty. Getting a slight bit of nuttiness after those woody cedar notes, and still very creamy. Slight hint of sweetness, kind of grassy hay sweetness. Nutmeg. Wow. I'm getting a lot just out of those first draws. That's excellent. So, all right. Just already kind of cracked it open, essentially. I'm going to sit back, relax, draw it down the first third, and I'll be back with you guys in just a minute with my first thoughts. See you then. All right, guys. I have, whoa, a little bit out of frame there. I've smoked down the first third rather quick of the Reserva Natural, and I am still continuing to get these, just the continuous sweetness of like kind of the grassy hay. Still very creamy. Hasn't gotten any kind of bitterness or anything that would like lean towards that type of flavor profile, or those types of notes. Still getting that nuttiness. It's just such a smooth, rich smoke, and it's actually smoking down pretty fast. But as you can see, the ash is holding on quite nicely. I want to let it go for a little while, see how far that I get, because I don't tend to have a whole lot of luck with the long ash, and I don't tend to put much stock in long ash, just because for some people they like to do it a lot. They like to do it as often as they can. Me, especially if I've had the cigar before, I usually just tap it off. I don't really worry too much about it. But I'm letting this one go because it's staying nice and tight in terms of the ash hold and everything like that. So I'm kind of letting it go. Probably after I'm done shooting this segment is when it's going to fall off on me. Hopefully it doesn't fall off in my bourbon. That would not be good. So I'm gonna but before I finish this segment, I do have my info for you for the makeup of the cigar. It is an Ecuadorian Connecticut wrapper with Habano binder and fillers from Nicaragua and the Dominican. So it is just a nice, smooth, and rich smoke. And it's got mild flavors, but that doesn't mean it's a weak cigar. It's got, just the right amount of kick, maybe a little bit of spice that is a little bit stronger than most typical Connecticut's I've had. This is technically, Connecticut wrapper, Connecticut cigar. So this definitely classifies, but it's called the Natural. It's got a nice light wrapper, so very nice and creamy look to go along with the flavor. But it's a delicious cigar. So I'm going to go ahead and keep smoking this down. It's probably going to happen pretty fast. And I'll let you guys know my thoughts after the second third comes down, when I get back about down to the band. So I'll see you guys in a second, let you know my thoughts then. Okay, guys. This second third smoked down pretty fast. So I'm going to give you my thoughts pretty quick, and then I'm going to jump right into the final third, get it down to pretty much the end, get it down to the nub, and give you my final thoughts. So I'm going to try and make this as simple and as succinct as I can possibly make it. There's been a little bit of a transition. It's gotten a little bit more of that kind of woody cedar notes, but super delicious. A little bit more of that grassy hay, a little bit more of a bite to it, a little bit more of that spice kicking in, kind of the nutmeg, maybe a little bit of cinnamon. But it's definitely just, it's more on the tip of the tongue, kind of the spice, and the woodiness is kind of on the back end of the palate, and it's just super tasty, super smooth. I'm going to take a couple puffs and do retrohale. Woo! Got a little bit spicy on that retrohale. Wow. Yikes. Definitely kicked up a notch in terms of strength. Like I said, this is not your typical kind of Connecticut mild profile cigar. It has a little bit more of a kick to it, a little bit more of a bite. It's not peppery. I actually haven't had like a peppery cigar in a long time. I remember for a long time I was having what just felt like this, like these really, as my dad's friend Earl will put it, a bit bitey. These really bitey and peppery cigars. And this is not one of those cigars. This is not bitey or peppery in that regard, but it has a little bit of that kick. Not super bitey, I should say. I did say it had a little bit of a bite, but it's very, very small. But it has just that little bit of spice, kind of a bit of a kick. But it's tasty, super tasty. It's pairing well with my Larceny bourbon. But yeah, Larceny bourbon goes pretty well with almost any stick. Very smooth, very delicious. Perfect bourbon to pair with this kind of cigar. But yeah, definitely a good match, good pairing. But whoo. Opened it up, getting a little bit of a bready note there. Just a yeah, that breadiness. Kind of a nice, I would say a little bit of a nice honey wheat bread, I would think. Something like that, but very tasty. Really smooth. Still got that creaminess going on. That hasn't dissipated at all, and I love that. Because sometimes with Connecticut's, and I'll admit, Connecticut's or kind of natural profile cigars are a little bit hit and miss because they start off kind of nice and sweet with that grassy hay, creamy and all of that. And then as it gets past like the first third down halfway and even further, it starts to get a little bit bitter. Not every Connecticut I've smoked is like that, but a number of them I've smoked have been like that. And I haven't really been able to appreciate those Connecticut's in particular. There's only a handful of Connecticut's that I really like, and this is definitely one of them. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Back with you, my final thoughts in just a sec. So don't go nowhere, please, okay? See you in a sec. Okay, guys. As you might be able to tell, pretty much almost down completely to the nub. I was on the phone for a bit, so I let it go a little bit longer. Just barely able to really puff on it and smoke it because it's starting to get pretty hot. Because it's so close to the nub, but it is still excellent, guys. Still an excellent smoke. Still very smooth, very rich and creamy. Much more of those woody notes, a little bit of nutty flavor. That baking spice is still hanging on, but it's still very creamy. The sweetness is more or less dissipated, but I catch hints of it periodically. But going down to the nub, it is still a very tasty smoke, still very mild, not very heavy or peppery or bitey or anything like that. It's just that spice that lingers on the tongue. As I said, it has a little bit more strength than most Connecticut's. So there is that, and it is still just an incredibly tasty smoke. And I'm glad I decided. I wasn't sure which Cuevas cigar I was going to do tonight. I knew I wasn't going to do the Maduro because I actually plan to smoke that with my dad later this week, and that'll be next week's review. So don't know why I did that, but I did. But yeah, that'll be next week's review. But this week I didn't know if I was going to do the Habano, the Core Line Connecticut, or this. But I'm glad I did this one. I mean, I would have been glad no matter what I did. So because it's Casa Cuevas, I enjoy them very much. This is no exception. And I need to smoke the Reserva Naturals a lot more often. So anyways, but yeah, that's my thoughts, my final thoughts. The construction stayed very consistent. I barely had to correct it at all in terms of burn pattern. The ash held on pretty nice and long a couple of times. In fact, earlier in the video when I said that first long ash I was getting, it's probably going to fall off after I recorded. Probably what you're going to see in the first segment of the video, as soon as I set it right here on the ashtray, it fell right off into the ashtray. So that was perfect timing. But I need to get me a cigar pick soon. So if you guys know of any good cigar picks, let me know, because I definitely need to get me a good cigar pick so I can keep puffing on this little itty bitty bit that's left. So Still very tasty. And my rating on the Casa Cuevas Reserva Natural is definitely going to be in the low 90s. I would say probably, you know what, I'm going to give this a 92. It deserves a 92 at the very least because of the consistent flavor, the smoothness, the richness, just the consistency. Even in the transitions, it didn't deviate too much from the original flavors that I got when I first was smoking it. So excellent smoke, excellent flavor, good construction, and even down to the nub, it's not like crazy squishy or anything like that as it sometimes does when you get it down to the very end of a cigar. So it is excellent, excellent, excellent. So those are my thoughts on the Casa Cuevas Reserva Natural. I hope you guys are enjoying Cuevas Month right now as I highlight all of the Casa Cuevas cigars. They have been incredibly generous in their sponsorship. I'm so grateful and glad that I get to do this and highlight them. And I hope you guys are enjoying it. Leave your comments below, maybe your favorite Cuevas cigar, or maybe ask me where you can get some Cuevas. I'll leave some links in the description below. But anyways, that's it for me, guys. Thanks again for joining me. And as always, I will catch you in the next one. Hey guys, thanks again for tuning into this episode. Hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and also follow Dad Smoking Cigars on dads_smoking_cigars on Instagram, and be sure to check us out on Facebook. Until then, guys, stay smoky, and I'll see you in the next one.